Hello, good game. Welcome back, ghouls and goblins. I hope you're all having a magical day. I know I am. Not only have I recovered from my nasty sunburn, which actually I couldn't walk for like 2.5 days, believe that or not. It was absolutely brutal. Any weight on my legs was just like totally crippling. So that's magical for me, but what's magical for all of you guys is the new Adventure into the Forgotten Realms spoilers. This is going to be a lot of fun, and remember, if you're a subscriber of the YouTube channel, you have a chance to win a complete rare playset of this upcoming D&D expansion. So that's a lot of fun. We're going to be breaking down some spoilers from June 29th today. Just talking about the cards that I think are probably relevant in standard best of one, and more so the competitive cards and the jank cards. Not really talking about the limited cards here on this channel. However, if you are interested in some of the limited reviews, leave a comment below, and maybe that's something that we can work towards in the future. Again, make sure to like the video to help support. Let's get into it. All right, here we go. Again, we're just kind of skimming through the cards, gaining a brief overview of everything. There's only about 100 cards out of roughly 300 that have been spoiled so far, so it's not worth our time yet to be building decks. We just want to kind of gain the awareness of what's all there and continue adding to it until we have everything, at which point we can do a full review, right? Go really in depth to it and then start building some decks together for you guys. So June 29th, Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, not to the Forgotten Realms. I think I miss to say that sometimes. First up is Oswald Fiddlebender, 2 mana. We can pay 1 white and tap the creature to sacrifice an artifact, searching our library for an artifact with mana value equal to the sacrificed artifact +1, which is really cool. Then we get to put that into the battlefield, shuffle our library. The sad part about it is we can only activate it as a sorcery, but I think this is still a pretty good card. I mean, you could turn by turn work your way up, a 1 CMC, 2 CMC, 3 CMC, 4 CMC, 5 CMC, all the way to Chromatic Orrery at 7. I'm not sure we have anything magical at 8 to make the leap to the henge at 9, but there's nothing wrong with Chromatic Orrery, right? Getting there is very, very good, and that could be a potential deck that's going to be worked out. And again, we just want to have potentials. We don't want to get into the specifics, just general ideas. Oswald Fiddlebender, 2/2 for 2, base stats or whatever. But the sacrifice an artifact to grab another artifact I think is good, because some artifacts have ETB effects that once it's in play are no longer relevant. An example of this is a Glass Cascade when it's exiled a token creature, right? Because then there's nothing under it. It's just sitting there unless you bounce it. So you can, chop that down, grab a 3 CMC. Stuff like this, when it enters the battlefield, exile a card from an opponent's grave. I think this is a 1 CMC artifact. That's an example as well, where it has an ETB, which we can use, get value from it, and then sacrifice it to grab something else and get more value from that, and just kind of continue that chain up turn by turn. So, that's a potential, right? And, we can maybe even find a way to untap the Fiddlebender, do it multiple times per turn, because it is so cheap. It only costs 1 white mana to do. So, there's some real potential here, but again, we're going to have to wait and see and look at all of these cards. Next up, we've got some Tiger Pack. I think this card is irrelevant. It's a 4/4 with Trample, and whenever it attacks with Pack Leader, so 6 or more power, you get to sacrifice a creature you control and deal damage equal to that creature to something else. It's just like too expensive for what it does. The Dragon Turtle, on the other hand, is a 3/5 with Flash, Drag Below. When Dragon Turtle enters the battlefield, tap it, and up to 1 target creature an opponent controls, they don't untap during their controller's next untap step. So, a turtle with Flash seems weird, but it comes in tapped, right? So it's not going anywhere anytime quick, which is, I really like how they did that. And I think it's still really cool to have a 3/5 with Flash. Tapping something is great, but it needs to remain in play, and there's, lots of removal, but that's where the Flash saves you, right? Because you're casting it on your opponent's end step. They don't have any mana. Now your mana untaps. It's still tapped, but you have mana to protect it, right? And that's going to be really cool. And then, hopefully some mana to disrupt your opponent's creature as well later on. The Outlander, you know, only worth mentioning because it will allow us to venture into dungeons. Pack Tactics is a mechanic if you're unfamiliar, and whenever you attack with total power 6 or more, right, that's the trigger, and then they each have a different outcome with the creature. So this is a 2/3 with reach for 2, fine. And then venture, I think, is the important part here. Ranger's Hawk, you know, it's not quite a healer hawk, but it still gets you in the air. It's a flyer for us, hooray. Wish, you know, worth talking about for 3 mana, sorcery speed, a rare, and whenever, you may play a card you own from outside the game this turn. The unfortunate part about it is this turn, so, you know, it's 3 mana plus the mana of whatever card you want to play from your sideboard this turn, but I do think in a, you know, potentially a control deck, this is nice, where you just have, you know, 11 mana, doesn't matter. The color of red makes that a little bit more difficult. Typically, red's not a control color. However, it can be. Or, you know, in the combo decks, like we've seen that Birgi deck where you were casting 0 CMCs to generate mana, and we had just unlimited mana, and Wish could be cast with some of that generated mana, and it's going to generate its own mana, and we can grab something from our sideboard to play. You know, I think this is a very good combo card, but it could go other places probably. Baleful Beholder, you know, another limited card. The Hobgoblin Captain for 2, it's a blade, and you know, it can gain first strike through Pack Tactics, which is all right, and again, 6 or greater total power. White for 2, this is worth talking about, a 3/2. Definitely, I'm pretty sure this is going to see standard play. You remember Knight of the Ebon Legion, how terrible that was? This reminds me a lot of that. It's different, of course, totally, but the power level here seems impressive. It enters the battlefield tapped, kind of like Gutter Bones. It has a life drain, and that's whenever a creature is dealt damage by the creature with life drain, in this instance, white, this turn dies, create a tapped 2/2 zombie creature token, and exile the card that died. Exiling the card that died is very good. Creating a 2/2 is very good. It's tapped, which is kind of bad, but it's all only for 2 mana, and it's a 3/2. Comes in tapped, sure. Doesn't have flash, sure. But, oof, that is a card. That's got some text on it. You guys remember, the more text a card has on it, sometimes the better it is. I'm really interested in this card. I like it. I like it. We've got Battlecry Goblin. You know, this is just a Goblin tribal card. You know, they have haste, and whenever you attack with 6 or more, you get a 1/1 tapped and attacking as well, which is actually fairly good for 2 mana as an uncommon. But again, this is just for the Goblin kids, and I don't even... I'd be surprised if Goblins made a standard deck, but, you know, maybe that's where mono red aggro goes. It's still early. There's more than 200 cards, like 260 cards left to be spoiled, which is crazy. So Inspiring Bard for 4/3/3. It's got a nice ETB. You can give target creature +2/+2 or gain 3 life. You know, basically irrelevant. This individual card seems very, very good. The Ochre Jelly is a 1 green plus X ooze with trample, which is nice, very, very good, and it enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. Decent. You can see where we're going, and it has divide. When the jelly dies, if it had 2 or more +1/+1 counters on it, create a token that's a copy of it at the beginning of the next end step. That token enters the battlefield with half of those +1/+1 counters on it rounded down. Woo! So if you have a continuous way to put counters on the jelly, you're going to get there, right? It's going to just continually regenerate itself through the divide, and I like that. This is not only good because of the replayability through divide, but it has trample, which is sick, and that's going to go great in the Selesnya counters deck. So we already know exactly where that card goes because it fits into an archetype we already have. So I like that quite a bit. You find the Villain's Lair for 3. I actually think this is worth mentioning. Counter target spell for, you know, 2 blue and a colorless. That's generic. We know that that's a counter spell, right? At instant speed, but it also has Learn Their Secrets because you get to choose one, right? Either counter target spell or draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. Now that adds some versatility to counterspell deck. I like it. I think that's a good card. Dueling Rapier for 1, Flash, which is nice, and the equipped creature is going to get +2/+0. You know, it's something. The Ebon Death Dracolich for 4, definitely worth mentioning. It's a 5/2 with flying and flash. So that's good. It enters the battlefield tapped. That's why it has flash, right? So you're just not chump blocking with it. And why would you? It only has 2 toughness. So, you know, you wouldn't want to just be playing it on your opponent's attack anyways as flash, which is a nice thing to do with flash creatures. But, you know, it comes in tapped and it has such low toughness, so why would you bother anyways? Not really a downside to me personally. You may cast it from your graveyard if a creature not named the Dracolich died this turn. Whoa. So that's that's really, really good as well. I do not mind that. Again, it doesn't say that it has to be at main phase sorcery speed. I'm imagining that we could potentially cast this on our opponent's turn. I don't know. I'm probably wrong on that. Someone please tell me I'm wrong on that. You may cast it from your graveyard if a creature not named it died this turn. But you can only cast... So no, maybe we can't. I don't think we can. I think I was wrong on that. You know, sometimes you see what you want to see, right? Could you imagine? Because it's got flash, right? So you should still be able to do it on your opponent's turn. I'm pretty sure you could still do it on your opponent's turn just because of the flash. So we've come full circle, and that's why we talk about things, gain awareness of the new cards, because there's some cool stuff going on, right? So that's nice. And I think we actually may have talked about a few of these the other day. The Adult Gold Dragon for 5 mana, flying lifelink, haste, 4/3. Not bad. It's not bad, right? It's not a Goldspan Dragon, but you know what you can do with it? You can play it with the mana that Goldspan Dragon creates. Am I right? That thing creates a lot of mana sometimes. So if you could get a 4/3 with flying lifelink and haste in play, why not? I don't think it's bad. I don't, you know, see it being the best creature, but there's value there for sure. And then we've got, you know, dragons of every color, which is pretty cool. There's the green dragon, there's the black dragon, and they all have their own kind of breath. They're all 4/4 with flying, which is nice. It's cool to have a green flyer. It's the first time we've had one of those in a while. Poison breath. You know, whenever it enters the battlefield until end of turn, whenever a creature an opponent controls is dealt damage, destroy it. Cool. And then, you know, the black dragon, acid breath. Whenever it enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls gets -3/-3 until end of turn. So, I like the different kinds of breaths on the dragons. It just seems cool, right? They're not great cards, right? They're expensive. They're meant for limited, but they're cool. Moon Blessed Cleric. You know it. You love to see it. For 3 mana, a 3/2 with Divine Intervention. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an enchantment card, reveal it, and then shuffle and put that card on top of your library. So, you know, it's not bad. It really sucks against Mill, but you know, there's a world in which this gets played in the Cleric's deck. You know, a white elf for Selesnya Elves maybe becoming more prevalent or relevant. I think I mixed those 2 words. Moving on, though, to something worth our time. The Book of Vile Darkness. For 3 black mana, a legendary artifact, and at the beginning of your end step, if you lost 2 or more life this turn, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. I'll allow it. We can tap it to exile the Book of Darkness and artifacts you control named the Isle of Vecina and the Hand of Vecina. Create Vecina, a legendary 8/8 black zombie god creature token with Indestructible. It gains all the triggered abilities of the exiled cards, which is pretty cool. However, we're still waiting on those other cards, right? We don't know what kind of triggered abilities they have. We're going to have to wait and find out. But I'm very excited about this card, and it just feels like a cool theme, right? Could definitely go in a commander deck, or, you know, just kind of a theme deck that I want to use. Moving on, something that I actually see in standard. The Werewolf Pack Leader for 2 mana. It's a 3/3. Base stats, very good. Human Werewolf, getting ready for Innistrad, right? We've got werewolves and vampires right around the corner. So I love to get ready for that ahead of time. It has Pack Tactics. Again, it's always the same. Whenever you attack with total power 6 or greater, trigger this ability. And in this instance, it's a draw card, right? Very, very good. Draw engines are one of the best things you can have in a match. Not only that, but it's got a mana sink as well for 4 until the end of turn. The Werewolf Pack Leader has base power and toughness of 5/3, gains trample, and isn't a human, if that's relevant to you somehow. Hashtag Winota, maybe. It seems weird because it's double green though, right? Not bad. The mana sink is good. Draw engine's good. The base stats are good. Right? So, Orb of Dragonkind up next for 2 mana. An artifact. We can pay 1 to add 2 mana of any color combination of colors. Spend this mana only to cast dragon spells or activate abilities of dragons. You know, it's not bad. It helps us get into those dragons a little bit earlier. We can also pay 1 to tap it, sacrificing the orb. Looking at the top 7 cards of our library, you may reveal a dragon card from among them, add it to your hand, put the rest into the bottom of your library in a random order. Not bad. Not bad. Kind of like it. 50 feet of rope. So this is one of those cards that we see being relevant with that first card, Oswald Fiddlebender. If you can think back to the beginning, I know I barely can. The 2 CMC white card that allows us to sacrifice artifacts to grab an artifact equal to its mana value plus 1. 50 feet of rope for 1. We can tap it. Target wall can't block this turn. We can tie up for 3 plus a tap. Target creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. And we can repel down for 4 on a tap to venture at sorcery speed into a dungeon. And, you know, maybe if we don't need it, we can sacrifice it for something else. So, you know, just, again, gaining awareness of cards that could potentially work together. Razalax, Illithid Scholar, Wolf, for 3 mana, a 3/2 legendary creature horror. Whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, you may return it to its owner's hand. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. That's actually not bad. That ensures that your creatures don't die. These creatures that you could have in the deck potentially have flash, so you can replay them right away. Well, it's still your turn, right? So you could play them on your second main phase anyways. So that's maybe not relevant, but I like it. You know, it's a draw engine. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. That's good. It's not bad. That's good, right? Moving on, choose your weapon. 3 instant speed, choose 1. You know, double power and toughness till end of turn on creature, which is actually pretty good. And then dealing 5 damage to your creature with flying. You know, I like the utility spells, right, where it does more than one thing, and it's great for standard best of 1. See a pair of goblins, you know, similar thing here. These are all uncommons. They all go together. All very good value, and I'm sure all very nice in limited. Instant speed for 3. You know, creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn, or create 2 1/1 goblins. You know, that's not bad. The Manticore, flash flying for 4 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target creature an opponent controls that was dealt damage this turn. You know, it's alright. It's too expensive though. Bull strength for 2. Target creature gets +2/+2, gains trample until the end of turn, and untap it. You know, that's relevant when we look at one of the new planeswalkers in the next video. We've got a new red planeswalker that I think is going to go good in a Gruul deck, and we need vigilance or the ability to untap our creatures, and this is a little bit of that. Moving on to something that's probably more interesting and less, you know, tangent, I guess, is the Gelatinous Cube for 4, a 4/3 with Engulf. When Gelatinous Cube enters the battlefield, exile target non-ooze creature an opponent controls until the cube leaves the battlefield. Right, so, you know, they can kill the cube and they get it back. However, you can use its Dissolve ability for X+1 Swamp to put target creature card with mana value X or less, I guess not or less, just mana value X, into its owner's graveyard. So make sure you get that mana value exact. Why would you overpay though, I guess, right? It seems kind of funny. So then when they do remove the cube, it's gone, right? They don't get that creature back, and you can actually hold mana up all the time, right? It's not at sorcery speed. You can wait until they target. They're like, oh, I'm going to remove this, get my creature back. Boom, you dissolve it, it's gone, and then you probably lose your cube anyways. So, you know, it's all right. It reminds me a lot of the Skyclave Apparition. It's more expensive, but you can get rid of that creature so they don't get anything potentially, so it kind of makes sense. And it's, of course, you know, a 4/3, which is better stats. I can see this in play, honestly. I think that's a good card. Moving on, the white choose 2 instant, giving creatures you control +1/+1 until the end of turn, or dealing 5 damage to target attacking creature. It's not bad. This is very good and limited. Moving on, just some shenanigans. Nothing here. I don't think it's too good. The Black Staff of Waterdeep for 1. Legendary artifact, which, again, it can be sacrificed, potentially. You may choose to not untap the artifact here, the Black Staff of Waterdeep, during your untap step. We get to animate Walking Statue for 2 plus the tap. Another target non-token artifact you control becomes a 4/4 artifact creature for as long as the Waterdeep Black Staff remains tapped, only at sorcery speed. Doesn't seem bad. I mean, it's underwhelming. It's not going to win you the game, but it's a thing. It doesn't do anything by itself, which is kind of sad. You kind of need another card to make it useful. I would have loved to see it scry when it enters the battlefield or something, but hey. Cave of the Frost Dragon. We got some really cool lands here, and let me jump over here. I want to show you guys the alternative art on these lands really quick. So here it is. Cave of the Frost Dragon. I love it, right? Pretty dang cool on that alternative art here. But then we get over here, just the regular art. Oh no, right? See how much cooler that is? That pops. So it's a land, and if you control 2 or more other lands, it's going to enter the battlefield tapped. Sure. It will tap to add a white source, and we can pay 5 to have it become a 3/4 flying until the end of turn, right? So this is very, very good. I like it. It's going to be a dragon as well if you have anything like an Anthem ability or something that requires dragons. But a land that's a 3/4 with flying, I don't mind it. Sometimes your Snowhaven, Crawling Barrens, it gets chump blocked. It's no good. This has evasion. That flying is really, really going to be cool. So I like to see this Frost Dragon land. I think that's good. It's definitely better than paying 5 to create a 1/1 token. I mean, that token is good in Castle Ardenvale, but 3/4 dragon with flying, kind of like that a little bit more. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Circle of Dreams Druid for 3 green. Oh my gosh, a 2/1 elf druid. We can tap to add 1 green for each creature we control. What are you going to do with all that mana, Mr. Elf? Play more elves, baby. It's the elf ball. You know it. You love to see it. The Treasure Chest. Now, this is kind of awkward and reveals a new mechanic. It's a 3 CMC artifact. We can pay 4 to sacrifice the chest to roll a d20, right? You roll your dice. That's really, really cool, and I hope we see more of that as the spoilers continue to be revealed. We can pay 1, lose 3 life. When we roll, if it's a 1, we lose 3 life. If it's a 2 to 9, we create 5 treasure tokens. If it's a 10 to 19, we gain 3 life and draw 3 cards, which is pretty good, let's be honest. And if it's 20, we get to search our library for a card. If it's an artifact card, we may put it into the battlefield. Woof, Chromatic Orrery, anyone? Otherwise, put that card into your hand and then shuffle. So this is interesting, and I'm sure there's going to be more artifacts revealed as well. So I like it. I can see myself just creating so many copies of this and just being the Lord of Dice, just because. Why not, right? And then we have Icing Death Frost Tyrant, which I'm actually fairly excited about. It's a 4 CMC 4/3 with flying and vigilance. I love that vigilance. And whenever it dies, create an artifact equipment, and equipped creature gets +2/+0. And whenever the equipped creature attacks, tap target creature defending player controls. That's not bad, and we can equip it for 2. So, it's has evasion, and then when it dies, it buffs up another creature and kind of gives it a form of evasion because it'll tap our opponent's blockers if they only have 1. I kind of like it. I mean, it's not the most oppressive creature, but I think the power level there for 4 CMC is more balanced than we've seen, while still remaining, kind of cool. The Flame Skull for 3. This is a card. It's a 3/1 with flying. Nice for 3 mana. In red. this is going to see play. It can't block. Don't want to block. It has Rejuvenation. Whenever Flameskull dies, exile it. If you do, exile the top card of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play one of those